All right, we are live. It looks like we are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, deplorables all across the world, right? Deplorables aren't just here in the United States. We're all over the world. Let's come on in here. Let's come on in. What do we got? 599. Very good. Excellent. Lots of thumbs up. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the thumbs up. All right, come on in. Good to see you all. Let's do our quick sound check. Let's make sure everything is fine and dandy and you can hear me all right. If you could give me something in the messages that you can hear just fine. So what are we hearing? What are we hearing? Are we hearing it all right? Let me get some feedback from you guys. It'll be great to chat with you tonight. We obviously have some serious stuff to chat about tonight. Good. All right. We got our first. We can hear you. All right, gang. I apologize ahead of time. These comments go by too fast. I'm an old man. I haven't figured out how to slow them down. So for those of you who give me some super chats and everything, I just want to say ahead of time, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm not going to have a lot of time to be able to give you the shout outs you so richly deserve. But we have to talk about this crazy civil war that is potentially breaking out here within the Republican Party. When it comes to these Georgia Senate runoffs. So come on in, everyone. There we go, 3.2 thousand. All right, let's keep coming on in. Grab a hot beverage or a beverage of your choice, depending if you're on the East Coast or in Europe, I'm sure, right? It's going to be a little bit later, and it'll be a nice time for a nice port or a nice pint, as my British brothers would say. And let's chat about what is, I think, threatening to become a very real, full-blown civil war within the Republican Party over these Senate runoffs. Now, you, of course, I don't know if you saw it. I shouldn't assume, but you may have seen the major hit piece launched against Lynn Wood by Breitbart, of all people. I mean, of all platforms. I mean, it was brutal, and it was accusing Lynn Wood. Hey, thanks, Longclaw. Excellent. Thank you so much. Very appreciate it. I'll see it in the corner of my eyes. We're getting warmed up here. But it was pretty brutal. It accused Lynn Wood of purposely trying to sabotage the Senate runoff because he's actually a closet Democrat. And we've got others coming out and saying that if the deplorables don't come out and support Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue, then ultimately, as it turns out in the end, we're not real supporters of President Trump, because if the Democrats win the Senate, they will completely undo the Trump legacy in a matter of just 100 days. So there's a lot to talk about here. So come on in, everyone. We're not going to be able to get into everything in this live feed. We are actually going to continue this conversation over at an exclusive live Q&A that's scheduled for tonight, Thursday night, December 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You are all invited to attend, but it is only for our Insiders Club members. And if you're not an Insiders Club member, we want you to be a part of this exclusive Q&A tonight. It's really, really important, obviously. So all you got to do, we're going to make it easy for you. All you got to do is just click on the link below, sign up to become an Insiders member, and you're going to get your first 2 weeks absolutely free, no obligation. Of course, we'd love for you to remain a permanent part of our Insiders Club. One of our brand new features is an exclusive live stream every Sunday night, where I give you the heads up of some of the videos that I have prepared for the week ahead. And then what I do is I get your input on those videos. So you help make me, you help me make these videos. So it's really awesome. And it's a tremendous camaraderie that we have with deplorables all over the world. Like I said, it is an international nationalist movement. So we're making these videos together, and I'd love for you to be a part of that. So make sure to click on the link below, sign up for the Insiders Club, get your first 2 weeks absolutely free, and that'll enable you to come tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern for our exclusive live Q&A. All right, so let's get into things here. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of what's going on with the Georgia Senate runoff of late, okay? So Attorney Lynn Wood turned some heads yesterday at the Stop the Steal rally. We did a video on that. where he called all deplorables to, at this point, boycott the Senate runoff. Don't show up. Don't vote. And of course, he was expressing the utter outrage that Georgian voters have been experiencing with their ridiculous, and I do mean utterly outright ridiculous, rhino establishment Republican leadership in Georgia, who are refusing to stand up and fight for election integrity and for President Trump. The deplorables are utterly astonished at how the governor and how the lieutenant governor and how the never Trumper Secretary of State have made themselves more available to the wackos at CNN than they have to their own constituents. They are more accommodating to MSNBC than they are to their own voters. And so it's not surprising to see that Georgian deplorables, the MAGA crowd, are beginning to weaponize their vote, okay? They're in effect saying, you know what? Two can play that game. If you're going to ignore us, then we're going to ignore you. If you don't want to have anything to do with us and our concerns, then we don't want to have anything to do with you and your concerns. If you, the GOP leadership, don't show up when we need you, we won't show up when you need us. So just as you're sitting out on us with the November 3rd election, we'll be happy to sit out on you on the January 5th Senate runoff. And Mitch McConnell can enjoy being Senate Minority Leader. That's, in effect, the weaponization of the vote that Lynn Wood was calling for. I forgot if Sidney Powell did as well. I don't think she brought it up. Maybe she did. The Stop the Steal rally yesterday, which was amazing. Again, we did a video on it, on the rise of populism, how it was awakening a populist giant. They told their audience there explicitly, do not vote for any one of the Republican candidates on January 5th, precisely because they're betraying us. Right. And Lynn Wood was like, you know, where are they? Why aren't they here? Why aren't they on this stage? Why are they silent on this fraud that happened on November 3rd? Why aren't they fighting for us? Why aren't they fighting for President Trump? And if Republicans have allowed the Democrats to steal the election November 3rd, why the heck would we not think they're just going to sit back and let them do it all over again on January 5th, right? So that was the ethos of Lynn Wood's call the other day at the Stop the Steal rally in Atlanta. So in response to Lynn Wood, you probably saw that, right? Breitbart ran a stinging hit piece on him. I think it came out late last night, basically accusing him of being a closet Democrat who was purposely trying to sabotage the Senate and give it to the Democrats. Now, it is true that Lynn Wood was a lifelong Democrat, as I understand it. The problem, of course, as many people are pointing out, so were the white working class voters who made up the base of the deplorables in the 2016 and 2020 elections, right? We pointed this out many times on this channel, that there were nearly 200 counties in Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota that had voted in every single presidential election since the 1980s solidly Democrat, some by a 20-point, 30-point margin, that suddenly and inexplicably swung over and voted for Trump in 2016 and again in 2020 by a comparable 20-point margin. This is the MAGA deplorable renewal of the Republican Party. It has become the party of the nationalist populist, right? And so to fault Lynn Wood for being a former Democrat, you'd have to fault the really the heart and soul of the new MAGA base, the new MAGA movement that is the new Republican Party, that, or at least the Trumpian wing of the Republican Party. You'd have to fault them as well. And so there was a lot of pushback against Breitbart for doing this. Obviously, it was considered to be over the top in terms of its sensationalism and its hit piece. I got to say this. I'm going to say this. I think I owe it to you to always be honest with you. I really don't care for Breitbart. I'm just going to say it. I really don't. I think they major way, way too much on outrage porn for me. I remember the latest decision by our awesome Amy Coney Barrett-led conservative 5-vote conservative bloc, the recent decision by SCOTUS, by Supreme Court in New York involving religious freedom. And you had a 5-4 vote that totally smacked down Governor Cuomo there in his attempt to try to restrict people from gathering together and worshiping. I think it was brought together by Catholic Church and Orthodox Jewish community together. Love to see them working together there as a part of the new traditionalist world. And 5-4 decision. Of course, Roberts jumped ship, hung out with the libs, apparently over some technicality, which I have no time for. And Breitbart, of course, the Gateway Pundit and all these other, awesome conservative news organizations that we constantly defer to. They were all like, this is awesome. This is our new, 5-block majority. The headline on Breitbart was, we're just one vote away from losing the First Amendment. It just seems they can't do anything without this sense of outrage porn. In social media studies, okay, it's kind of a clickbait. We actually have studies that show that people are more willing to share stories. They're more willing to share content on social media when they're outraged by it. And I'm sorry, I think Breitbart, they defer to that. And I really don't care to look at I go to them every day, but they're my least favorite. Let's put it that way. So I think what's going on ultimately, though, between Breitbart and Lynn Wood, when all is said and done, is just noise. Okay, I do. I just think it's noise. I just think it's banner. Lynn Wood responded with, pointing out his conservative bona fides of late, and of course, he has been one of the most reliable defenders of conservative people who've been under attack. What do you even say? How do you accuse this guy of being a closet lib who's trying to thwart the Senate? I do think, though, this is just noise. I think what really concerns me here is the notion that somehow the deplorables can be shamed. And this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing it from Newt Gingrich. I'm seeing it from some guys at Breitbart, Joel Pollak and others. They can be shamed into voting for the Republicans. In that if you don't vote for the Republicans, then you don't really support Donald Trump, because the Democrats, when they take over the Senate, they're going to completely unravel everything Trump did. So you better show up and vote for the 2 Republican senators on January 5th. And I'm reading this stuff. I'm reading on Twitter. I'm reading on different posts. I'm reading this stuff. It is absolutely absurd reasoning. And you know it. You all know it. I know you do. You could do this video. You don't need me to do it. It is absolutely absurd reasoning. And I'm not used to saying that about these people, like someone like Newt Gingrich. I tend to track with what he says quite often. Again, I think he's a Johnny-come-lately to the nationalist populist movement. Thanks, Yogi Bear. I'm looking down here. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for the super chats. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I see our Salty Cracker crowd here. You guys are great. Love you guys. God bless you guys from Salty Cracker. Great channel. You should, if you don't know Salty Cracker, go to, I should put a link there sometime. Maybe somebody could put it in the comments. Great channel. Love what they do. Thanks, Cammie. Thank you so much. It is absurd reasoning. Again, I'm not used to saying that about a lot of these guys because I love them. But it is an absurd reasoning, and I'll share it with you and tell me if this resonates with you. It is absurd to say that the MAGA crowd, the deplorables, need to vote for the Republicans, because if they don't really support Trump, because the Democrats are going to unravel everything Trump does. What does that assume? It assumes that we trust the Republicans more with Trump's legacy than we do with the Democrats, doesn't it? It assumes that we, the deplorables, trust the Republicans with Trump's legacy in the slightest bit more than we would trust the Democrats with it. And the reason why this reasoning fails so horribly is because it fails to take into account the nature of the rise of nationalist populism in redefining our politics. And what we have to do is we've got to come to terms first with the political implications of the rise of nationalist populism all over the world. We've got to understand that. And then we can figure out how to stave off the threat of this burgeoning civil war within the GOP, and then we can easily win the Senate. That's not a problem. But what we've got to understand, what these politicians don't seem to get, and these pundits don't seem to get, is how the rise of nationalist populism has completely upended the traditional political adversities, the political animosities that have defined our politics for the last, say, 70 years. Because we have a new animosity that has arisen, haven't we? And I think you all feel it, and you feel it viscerally in your bones. We have to understand that particularly populism, it revolves around an animosity that is fundamentally different than Republican versus Democrat, or conservative versus liberal, or even right versus left. Populism is all about the animosity between the people versus the political class, the citizens versus the oligarchy, the rulers versus the ruled. It is not ideological in the traditional sense. Actually, the beauty of populism is that it brings together people of all parties, of all races, of all creeds, precisely because they're united around being law-abiding citizens who are just trying to live, their best life, as it were, and they collectively see a ruling class, a political oligarchy made up of two parties, a duopoly, or in Europe, a few more, that rules for its own benefit and rules according to its own values, which are often so at odds and at the expense of the concerns and the values of we, the people, the citizens. And the way the Georgian Republicans have been acting over the last few weeks has only underscored that populist perspective. Their let them eat cake attitude towards the November 3rd election and towards January 5th, where the same Dominion voting systems are getting prepared for that election, where the same electoral safeguards like signature verification and chain of custody verification are all going to be deliberately ignored and abdicated once again with the mail-in fraud that's already being perpetrated with Abrams. People are seeing precisely these political conditions that have awakened populist sentiments, that there are two classes ultimately, a political class and all the rest of us. And the political class rules for its own benefit and according to its own values, which stand at odds and in turn indeed frustrate the concerns and values of the citizens. And this is key. This is key. Both parties are equally guilty of this. The key to understanding Trump's success is that he was a third-party candidate who won a major party nomination. Write that down. Don't forget that. That's what that's what burns inside of you when you see such callousness by Republicans towards us and our concerns and towards Donald Trump. The key to understanding his massive success, how he was able to accomplish the highest vote tally of any incumbent president seeking re-election. 11 million more votes in 2020 than in 2016. The third highest increase in vote tally in history. 95% Republican support, coming within earshot of 100% support. He was able to increase his support among blacks by 50% from 2016, increase his support among Latinos to 35%, 70% plus among Floridian Cubans. This is the reason why he was able to do this, is because he was a third-party candidate who won a major party nomination. And so this rhetoric of trying to shame the deplorables into voting for two Republican senators that have yet to show they are not part of the political class, that have yet to show that they even have the slightest semblance to want to fight for us and for Donald Trump, to try to shame deplorables, populist nationalists into voting for two members of the political class, because we would actually entrust them with the swamp draining program of Trump more than we would trust Democrats, is absurd. It assumes that populists would trust the Republicans with Trump's legacy more than they would with the Democrats, or more than they would the Democrats. And that fails to recognize this new political animosity. The new animosity, again, it's not Democrat versus Republican anymore, guys. That's not the politics of the 21st century. It's not Democrats versus Republicans. It's not conservatives versus liberals. It's not right versus left, per se. It is increasingly the people versus the political class, the ruled versus the rulers. And as long as Georgia Republicans continue to act like they belong to an aloof, oligarchical, political elite, they have sealed their own electoral doom. The deplorables will not show up for them. All right, so obviously there's a lot more to talk about here. I do think the Georgia Republicans can fix this. They can fix this very easily. They just have to understand how nationalist populism works. They can fix this very easily, and we can win these Senate runoffs, no problem. But we need to take that conversation over to the live Q&A tonight, all right? So you are all invited to participate. If you were late coming in, again, we have an exclusive live Q&A tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's exclusive only for our Insiders Club members. And if you're not a member, we want you to be there. So all you got to do is just click on the link below, sign up to be an Insiders Club member, and you're going to get your first 2 weeks absolutely free as a trial to try it out. No obligation. You can cancel at any time, but that way you'll be able to join us tonight for our live Q&A. You will reserve your seat, as it were. All right, so I cannot wait to see you guys there tonight. Thank you so much to all of our Super Chat gang. You're wonderful. Doctor, give me the news. I caught that as it was going up. Lots of hearts, beautiful hearts. I love you guys too. This is, we're in this for the long haul. And don't worry, we're going to get through this okay. But there's a lot to talk about more of how Georgia can fix this. They certainly can, but let's talk about it tonight. All right. Can't wait to see you at the live Q&A. We're living in exciting and extraordinary times. Love you all, guys. God bless. I'll see you tonight.